New rule for self-serving, arrogant politicians: if it is deemed necessary to change the leader mid-term, while the voting public are sleeping, then it must be deemed just as urgent and necessary to go to an immediate election with a new leader. Bernadette Scadden, Earlwood. Unbelievable to see Matthias Cormann spruiking the need for changing the rules to shore up the tenure for a PM, elected by the people, to retain that tenure for the duration of his term. Considering the implication of his involvement in the unseating of Turnbull, the hypocrisy is gobsmacking. Susan Cowell, Mossman. Prime Minister Scott Morrison during question time in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Credit: Dominic Lorimer. Former PMs to the left of him, former PMs to the right of him, into the valley of electoral death rode Scott Morrison. Peter Fife and Moray wonder if the rule will be made retrospective to August. Tony Seville, Orella. Please do not change the way Liberal PMs have always been chosen or dismissed. If a PM does not have the support of the members of his party, then another vote is a good idea. How great that we could be rid of really bad PMs. The Liberals are lucky that Kevin Rudd changed the way Labour leaders are elected. Now ScoMo has Bill Shorten as his opponent at the next election. If it was not for the rule change, Labour also would have changed leader. Gary Fisher, Curaville. Illustration: John Shakespeare. Credit: the PM's move raises some interesting questions. Do the Liberal boys realize the electorate is almost as puzzled by the shabby treatment of Julie Bishop as they are about the dumping of Turnbull? Do they understand the level of anger among female voters as expressed so eloquently by Julia Banks? Are they afraid of a leadership challenge by Julie Bishop? Do their new rules allow for a spill after an election loss, as Labour's rules do? Lynn Polson, Kingsford. Interesting that Morrison changed the rules after meeting Merkel and Trump. Maybe they both ask, who are you representing? Ian Carr, Galstoney would prefer to translate her word weg sign as, he will be gone. Letters, December 4th. Ian Stevenson, Gladesville. It's time. Bill Plasteras, Vaucluse. Attenborough's wake-up call for climate change will blow me down. David Attenborough, of all people, spreading fake news. I just hope ID's catching. Civilization may collapse if climate change ignored, says David Attenborough, smh.com.au, December 4th. Rob Venables, Maggie Attenborough said, we are facing a man-made disaster of global scale, our greatest threat in thousands of years, climate change. If we don't take action, the collapse of our civilizations and the extinction of much of the natural world is on the horizon. And then we have Craig Kelly. Who are you going to believe? Colin Clark, Valentine. A hope. Matt Canavan counsels Attenborough to stop wasting his time on nature and do something interesting like studying mining. John Dinnan, Cheltenham. While it's refreshing to hear Energy Minister Don Harwin state the NSW government is committed to getting to zero emissions by 2050, it has no plan to get us there. NSW Liberals still aiming for zero emissions by 2050. December 4th. 2 years ago the coalition released a draft climate change strategy, but the final report has never emerged and the roadmap to a clean energy future hasn't seen the light of day. Harwin is reading the tea leaves, that the people of NSW love clean energy and want to hand a safe climate to our kids, yet it takes more than rhetorical statements to convince us you're putting our state's long-term interest first. Any party that wants to get elected must have a credible plan to tackle climate change. Kate Smolsky, CEO, Nature Conservation Council of NSW. Wrong, Evan Mulholland, Turnbull's act of woeful hypocrisy, December 4th. We want action on global warming, not hollow gestures. If that means no lower power prices, then so be it. All the Liberals can come up with is a way to sell a message when they have nothing to sell. Patrick McMahon, Beverley Park. Australia's greenhouse gas emissions increased in the past year mainly due to using outdated coal energy. Technological advances have made renewable energy cheaper, providing more jobs in innovative industries. There is urgent need for strong governance for a cleaner, healthier future. Lynn Seville, Chatswood. For a long time people believed the Earth was the center of the universe. When scientists proved it was not, many continued to disbelieve. Climate change is no different. The frightening thing is the consequences of not believing the scientists will be devastating to our planet. The government must address the situation. Janice Hull, # Mark Pigott's tale of closing the Oxford Street institution makes me sad. I will never forget the night the lockout kicked in, December 4th. I grew up with the late-night vibrancy of Oxford Street, seeing actors buy the newspaper for the reviews after opening night and the eclectic characters congregating after peacefully partying late. The lockout laws are an affront to the community they pretend to protect. Our city, and his business, are non-stated with loss of jobs, and our reputation as a global city is trashed. Julius Grafton, Balmain's lockout laws came about because ordinary people were sick of having their neighborhoods trashed by people who had consumed too much alcohol, or who had vomited on the footpaths, or who had urinated on their doorsteps, or who thought it a good idea to yell abuse at others. The real problem is actually the availability of alcohol and illegal drugs and the people who use these to excess. The lockout laws are not the problem. Since the consumers could not curb their appetites for these substances, the only reasonable thing to do was to ban the selling of them after 1:30 a.m. Mia David, Wollongong Fast Train Politics. Citizens cannot rely on politicians providing a fast rail service. Faster rail services on the agenda, December 4th. We can, however, rely on an announcement of such service just before an election. John Boast, Hunters Hill. You report that the Berejiklian government will consider the feasibility of up to 4 fast train links to regional centers. Words straight out of Yes, Minister. Garrett Nauman, Camera. Money that has been wasted already on studies would have built a couple of train services. Ron Field, for McGee. Stokes on target. Take a bow. Rob Stokes. Stokes accuses federal libs of willful ignorance on climate, December 4th. I have wanted to ask a question of climate change skeptics for some time. Which is it, arrogance, sheer ignorance, or stupidity that makes them think they know more than the world's best brains and scientific experts? It is a huge price that we and future generations will pay for their ignorance. Tatiana Podmore, Cremornia. A person or organization publishes information that is found by a jury to be untrue and damages are awarded. Fairfax takes aim at laws as Gale wins $300,000 payout, December 4th. And if what was published is untrue, the publisher, therefore, shouldn't be able to claim that it was in the public interest to publish. Sounds sensible to me. So do we really need a wholesale change in our defamation laws? John Pick. West Pimble. Protecting Citizens. Peter Hartcher's article on breaking encryption codes used by terrorists is an excellent statement of the problems as well as being even-handed. Now is not the time for hacks, December 4th. Pity that our politicians aren't paying attention. Such vital discussions need bilateral support, whereas the conclusion to be drawn from the coalition's approach is that they are more interested in wedge politics than passing good legislation to protect all citizens. Lawrence Hayden, Surrey Hills. Students lead the way. This principal is immensely proud of the 9 Dapto High School students who attended the Action on Climate Change rally last Friday, each with parental support. Our school is doing its utmost to involve students, their families, our community and staff in sustainability issues. Sadly, my generation is demonstrably failing to engage constructively. Andrew Fitzsimmons, Principal, Dapto High School. Ron Elphick expresses incredulity over crocodiles in George Street. Letters, December 4th. Well, 30 years ago we were amazed to find crocodiles in Mackay, and now they have been seen near Fraser Island. So crocodiles in George Street may be sighted when those kids are your age. Run. Dick Clark, Eleanora Heights. My parents live in Bulga, a little town in the Hunter Valley ringed by open-cut coal mines, and I am no stranger to protesting with them. With few exceptions, the incredible people on this bitter front line, risking jail, are grandmothers and grandfathers. And they are tired. It's time to pass the lit stick of gelignite. On Friday, how refreshing to see faces without a line on them, leaving the walls that are educating them to go question at the feet of the Founding Fathers in Martin Place. The kids we oldies saw on Friday were joining in on the glorious Aussie tradition of the Sickie, or Mental Health Day. The system is making their world sick, and doing something about it is worth getting out of bed for. Flip it to Laskell, Potts Point Pride in Citizenship. Reading Helen Pitt's article about new Australian citizens in the Liverpool Council area made me proud to live in a country that accepts migrants from so many places, from Algeria to Bosnia. Immigrants make Liverpool their new home. December 3. 40 years ago my family also became citizens in a citizenship ceremony in Liverpool, but not at the E.G. Whitlam Centre. We received our citizenship certificate centre stage at Westfield, Liverpool. Daniela Georgie, Redfern. Our U.S. relationship is interesting as your review of John Curtin's role as in the follow-up letter. December 3. I suggest that a slightly different complexion on the relationship between Australia and the U.S. may be observed as a result of the recent book by Dr. James Pryor, America Looks to Australia, 2018, and his analysis of the role of our man Richard Casey in Washington in 1940-41. John Batts Brontel. American spirit. Max Presnell is an Australian icon. After more than 60 years the ink is still in my veins. December 3. His column brought back vivid memories about a once friendlier Australia where larrikins and their spirit gave this country a unique character. Maybe it was the joys and vices of life around the track that attracted this spirit. Nevertheless, I loved the way Max covered it with color and style. Sir John Knežević, Southhurst Valley. Carvel is out on a limb. Patricia Carvelas should have a word with Pauline Hanson about borrowing a burqa under his eye. That's no way to dress. smh.com.au, December 4. How ridiculous. She was barred from Parliament House. Nick Kendall, Rose Villuan. Women are pressing hard for equality in all aspects. Surely failing to follow dress regulations is a smite against that aim. Carvelas would not wear a full face cover, that is against the rules. She would not attempt to enter Parliament wearing a bikini. If baring your arms is against the rules, don't do it. You can't have one rule for equality that says everything is equal yet flout rules. Carvelas demonstrated a lack of professionalism unbecoming a member of the press gallery. Gary Bigelow, Oatland Shorley. Former South Australian Premier Don Dunstan smashed the dress code forever in the 1970s. Did he not wear a short-trousered safari suit into the chamber, a variant on the FNQ rig? Ivan Head, Buridu. The reference to the well-known film director Bertolucci. Letters, December 4, brought to mind the famous Irish explorer Marco Polo. Peter Moran, Oak Flats.